pretty wild when you think about it.
What's that?
Well, all the, all the microorganisms
Oh, right.
living in on us, like
Oh.
our bodies are more like
Yeah.
ecosystems than just,
Same ones.
entities.
It is amazing, isn't it? The human microbiome.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much it impacts us.
Yeah, it really does. I mean,
Mhm.
everything from like digestion to like our immune system, it's,
Absolutely. And the more we learn, the more we realize
yeah,
how powerful it is.
and all the potential it has. Like, it's a really exciting field right now.
Oh, for sure. And there's so much happening in the market, too.
Exactly. And that's actually what we're going to be looking at today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we've got this really interesting report
Okay.
from Cognitive Market Research
Okay.
that takes a deep dive into the global human microbiome market.
Gotcha.
So where it is now and where it's headed.
Makes sense.
And we're going to unpack all the key insights from that report for you guys today.
Cool.
So you can really understand this market. Yeah, so right off the bat, the report predicts some pretty huge growth.
Oh, yeah.
It projects the market will jump from 10,072.7 million USD in 2025
Okay.
to a whopping 10,068.32 million USD by 2033.
Wow. That's
It's a big jump.
a big jump.
Yeah, and that translates to a CAGR
Right.
of 32.3%.
Which is massive.
It's huge.
Yeah, you don't see that kind of growth very often. It really shows,
Yeah.
the potential that everyone sees in this area.
For sure. And I mean, this is based on a pretty thorough analysis.
Yeah.
So they use 2024 as the base year
Uh-huh.
with historical data going back to 2021.
Okay.
And then they forecast all the way out to 2033.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not just some,
Yeah.
quick prediction.
Yeah.
It's a pretty in-depth look.
Yeah, and that kind of growth,
Yeah.
it attracts investment. It fuels innovation.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to keep growing.
Exactly. And it's not just going to be evenly distributed across the globe.
Right, of course.
Some regions are going to be bigger players than others.
Right.
All right, so where's all the action happening? Like, which regions are leading the charge?
Well, right now, North America is king.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've got the biggest slice of the pie.
Like, how much were we talking?
Over 40% of the global market revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, and in 2025, their market size is projected to hit 396.90 million USD,
Okay.
with a CAGR of 30.4% all the way to 2033.
So they're going to keep growing, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Within North America, though, who's really driving that growth?
Well, the United States is the big one.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, they're expected to reach 313.15 million USD in 2025.
Wow.
And their CAGR is projected to be 30.2%.
And what's fueling that growth in the U.S.?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the biotech industry.
Oh, okay.
They're pouring a ton of money into research and development.
So like new treatments and diagnostics and stuff.
Exactly. All the cutting edge stuff is happening there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about our neighbors to the north?
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, what's happening up there?
They're doing pretty well, too, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Their market is estimated to be around 47.63 million USD in 2025.
Okay.
And their CAGR is actually a little higher than the U.S. at 31.2%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And a big part of that is because of growing consumer interest
Oh, interesting.
in things like probiotics and personalized nutrition.
So people are really starting to pay attention to their gut health.
Exactly. They're realizing that it's connected to their overall well-being.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
And what about Mexico? So Mexico is a bit smaller
Okay.
at 36.12 million USD in 2025.
Uh-huh.
But they're still seeing solid growth with a CAGR of 30.9%.
So all across North America, it sounds like things are pretty hot.
Yeah, it's a great time to be in the microbiome space over there.
Let's shift gears a bit and head over to Europe.
Sure.
What's the scene like across the pond?
Well, Europe is a major player.
Okay.
They represent a little over 30% of the global market.
Wow, so they're not too far behind North America.
No, not at all. And their market size in 2025 is projected to be 311.08 million USD. And they're expecting a GGR of 31.1% from 2025 to 2033.
Okay, so they're definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
And within Europe, are there any particular countries that are really leading the way?
Well, Germany and the UK are definitely standouts.
Okay.
Yeah, Germany is projected to have a market size of 61.59 million USD in 2025, with a KGR of 31.3%.
So pretty strong.
Yeah, and a big reason for that is their focus on personalized medicine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're really invested in tailoring treatments to individuals.
That makes sense.
And the UK is right up there with them.
Okay.
Their market is estimated to be around 52.26 million USD in 2025. And they're looking at a KGR of 31.9%.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and that's partly due to a growing awareness of
Yeah.
just how important the microbiome is for overall health.
So people are getting more educated about it.
Exactly.
What about other countries in Europe, like Russia or Italy or Spain?
So they're all doing well too.
Yeah.
Their CAGRs are a little lower than Germany and the UK, but still hovering around that 30% mark.
Okay.
So for example, Russia's projected to hit 48.22 million USD with a CAGR of 30.1%.
Mm-hmm.
Italy's at 26.75 million with a CAGR of 30.5%.
Okay.
Spain's at 25.51 million with a CAGR of 30.2%. And France is at 28.62 million with a CAGR of 30.3%.
Okay.
But even some of the smaller countries like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg, they're all seeing pretty healthy KGRs, mostly above 30%.
Wow. So it's really catching on across the entire continent.
Yeah, pretty much. It seems like Europe is really embracing the whole microbiome thing.
All right, let's hop over to Asia now.
Okay.
Specifically the Asia-Pacific region, or APAC, as they call it.
Sounds good.
What's the situation like over there?
Well, right now, APAC accounts for about 23% of the global market share.
Okay.
For a decent chunk, and their market size in 2025 is projected to be 257.45 million USD.
Uh-huh.
But here's the kicker. Their projected CAGR from 2025 to 2033 is 35.7%.
Whoa, that's the highest we've seen so far.
It is. They're poised for some serious growth in this market.
So within APAC, which countries are the ones to watch?
Well, China is a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, their projected market size in 2025 is 108.13 million USD,
Okay.
and their CAGR is a strong 35.2%.
Wow. And what's driving that growth in China?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the rise of lifestyle diseases.
Oh, like what kind?
You know, things like heart disease, diabetes, obesity,
Ah,
and also a pretty high prevalence of gastrointestinal disorders.
so there's a big need for solutions in those areas.
Exactly. And Japan and South Korea are also key players in the region.
Okay.
Their KGRs are 34.2% and 34.8% respectively.
So also pretty strong.
Yeah, definitely. And in South Korea, they're seeing a huge surge in consumer interest in probiotics and prebiotics.
So they're really focusing on gut health.
Exactly.
Interesting. And any other countries in APAC that are worth mentioning?
Well, India is another one to watch.
Oh.
Their projected CAGR is even higher at 37.6%.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a really dynamic market that's just going to keep exploding.
And what about like Australia, Singapore, Taiwan?
Yeah, they're all showing a lot of potential too.
So it sounds like APAC is the region to keep an eye on.
Oh, for sure. There's going to be a lot of innovation and development coming out of there in the next few years.
Now, what about South America?
Okay, so South America's market share is a bit smaller,
Mm-hmm.
a little over 5% of the global revenue,
Okay.
but their projected CAGR is still pretty impressive at 33.2%.
So they're not out of the game.
Not at all. And within South America, Brazil and Argentina are the biggest markets.
Okay.
So Brazil's expected to reach 17.45 million USD in 2025 with a CAGR of 33.8%.
Uh-huh.
And Argentina is at 6.85 million with a slightly higher CAGR of 34.1%.
Wow. And what's driving their growth?
Well, for Brazil, it's partly because of rising investments in healthcare.
Makes sense.
And Argentina's growth is linked to an increase in lifestyle diseases.
So similar factors to other regions we've talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, what about the Middle East?
So the Middle East currently has a smaller market share,
Okay.
around 2% of the global revenue, with a projected size of 42.91 million USD in 2025.
Okay.
But they're expecting a really strong CGR of 33.9%.
So lots of potential there.
Definitely. And the key markets to watch in the Middle East are Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Turkey.
Okay, what are their numbers looking like?
Saudi Arabia is the biggest player,
That.
projected to reach 15.0 million USD in 2025 with a KGR of 34.2%.
Okay.
The UAE follows with 8.84 million USD and a KGR of 34.4%. And Turkey is at 3.43 million USD with a KGR of 34.5%.
And what's fueling their growth?
Well, in Turkey, it's a combination of government and private sector investments in the biotech and healthcare industry.
Oh, so they're really pushing for advancements in this field.
Yeah, exactly. And Qatar and Egypt are also contributing to the market's development in the region.
Awesome. And last but not least, let's talk about Africa.
Okay, so Africa currently has the smallest market share,
Got it.
about 1% of global revenue,
Okay.
with a size of 23.60 million USD in 2025.
Uh-huh.
But they're still projected to grow at a pretty decent CGR of 32.7%.
So there's definitely movement happening there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And within Africa, South Africa and Nigeria are the ones to watch.
Oh,
South
yeah.
Africa is the larger of the two.
Uh,
They're projected to reach 8.31 million USD in 2025 with a CAGR of 33.6%.
okay.
Nigeria is a bit smaller at 1.89 million USD,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still showing strong growth with a CAGR of 32.9%.
And what's driving that growth in Nigeria?
Well, a big factor is the rising healthcare costs.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's making people more interested in preventative healthcare,
Right.
and that includes microbiome-related products and services.
So it's like an investment in their future health.
Exactly.
So we've covered the regional breakdown, but now I'm curious about the specifics. Like, what kind of health issues are these microbiome products and services targeting?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So the report breaks down the market by what they call indication outlook,
Okay.
which is basically just a fancy way of saying what conditions they're trying to address.
Right.
And it looks like the gastrointestinal and metabolic disorders category is expected to dominate.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the role of the microbiome in those areas is pretty well established.
Right.
We know it's a big factor in things like IBS, IBD, and obesity.
Exactly.
So it's not surprising that there's a lot of focus on developing products and services for those conditions.
For sure. And out of all these specific health issues, which one is projected to grow the fastest?
This one might surprise you.
What is it?
Cancer.
Really?
Yeah, the report identifies cancer as the fastest growing segment by indication.
I mean, I know there's been some research into the microbiome's connection to cancer, but I didn't realize it was that big of a deal.
Well, it's definitely an area that's gaining a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Researchers are starting to understand the complex relationship between the microbiome and cancer development and treatment.
So it's a really promising area for potential therapies and diagnostics.
Exactly. It's a hot topic right now.
And what about other areas besides cancer and those gastrointestinal and metabolic disorders?
Well, women's health is also a big one.
Oh, right.
There's a growing recognition of the microbiome's role in things like vaginal health, pregnancy, even mental well-being.
Wow. It really is involved in so much,
It really is. And then there's also a category they just call others.
which basically covers everything else.
Pretty much, yeah. So that includes a bunch of other health conditions where the microbiome might be playing a role.
Okay, so it's a pretty wide-ranging market.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, I'm also curious about the technology side of things, like what are the main approaches being used in this field?
So the report breaks down the market by technology outlook.
Okay.
And currently, 16's rRNA sequencing is the big one.
Okay, I'm not really familiar with that. What is it?
It's basically a way to identify different types of bacteria by looking at a specific gene that's like a unique fingerprint.
So like a genetic barcode.
Yeah, exactly. And it lets researchers get a really good picture of the microbial diversity in a sample.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's another technology that's gaining ground really fast. It's called metagenomic sequencing.
Metagenomic. Okay.
Yeah. And this one's even cooler because it looks at all the DNA in a sample,
Oh, wow.
not just the bacterial DNA.
Yeah.
So it gives you a much more comprehensive view of the microbial community.
So it's not just telling you who's there, but what they're doing.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and as the cost of sequencing keeps going down and the tools for analysis get better,
Yeah.
we're going to see a lot more metagenomics in the future.
It sounds like it's really going to revolutionize the field.
I think so.
Okay, so we've talked about regions and health issues and technologies.
Mm.
Now, what about therapeutic areas? Is that kind of the same thing as indication outlook?
It's similar, but not exactly the same.
Okay, what's the difference?
So indication outlook focuses on specific conditions,
Right.
like IBS or cancer.
Yeah.
But therapeutic area outlook is more about the broader categories of treatment.
Okay.
So, for example, gastrointestinal disorders would be a therapeutic area.
Gotcha.
And it encompasses a bunch of different conditions.
Like IBS, IBD, all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what are the main therapeutic areas being targeted by the microbiome market?
Well, as you might expect, gastrointestinal disorders are still the biggest.
Yeah, that's kind of the bread and butter.
Yeah, but women's health is actually a rapidly growing area.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's more and more research showing the importance of the microbiome for women's health.
Like what kind of things?
Well, everything from vaginal health and fertility to pregnancy and even mental health.
Wow, it's amazing how much it affects.
It really is.
And what other therapeutic areas are on the radar?
Well, metabolic disorders are a big one.
Oh, yeah, like diabetes.
Exactly. And skin disorders are also getting a lot of attention.
So it sounds like there's a ton of potential for microbiome-based treatments across a wide range of areas.
Yeah, absolutely. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
So with all this potential,
Mhm.
What are the main factors driving this market growth?
Well, the report highlights a few key drivers.
Okay, like what?
Well, first off, there's a growing awareness of the importance of gut health.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that.
Yeah, it's everywhere now. People are finally realizing that gut health is connected to their overall well-being.
Right.
And healthcare professionals are starting to pay more attention to it, too.
Yeah, I've even seen microbiome testing being offered at some doctor's offices.
Exactly. So that increased awareness is definitely a big driver.
Okay. What else?
Well, another factor is the rise of personalized medicine and probiotics.
Oh, okay. So it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach anymore.
No, definitely not. People are starting to understand that their microbiome is unique
Right.
and that they might need different treatments or interventions.
So it's all about tailoring it to the individual.
Exactly.
And what's the third driver?
The third one is all about the technology.
Okay.
So there have been huge advancements in genomic technologies, especially in microbiome sequencing,
Right.
and that's really speeding up the pace of discovery and making it easier to develop new and better products and therapies.
So it's like the technology is catching up with the science.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, on the flip side, are there any factors that might be holding back this market growth?
Well, there are a few challenges.
Okay, like what?
Well, one of the biggest ones is that our understanding of the human microbiome is still limited.
Even with all the advancements?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly complex ecosystem,
Right.
and there's still so much we don't know about it.
So it's like we're still piecing together the puzzle.
Exactly. And that can make it difficult to develop truly effective treatments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then another challenge is the regulatory landscape.
Oh, right. Like getting approval for new products and therapies.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a gray area.
Uh-huh.
There aren't really clear guidelines for microbiome-based products yet.
And that could slow things down.
Definitely, it creates a lot of uncertainty for companies trying to navigate the approval process.
So it's a bit of a hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, for sure.
But even with those challenges, it sounds like there's a lot of optimism for the future of this market.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much potential. And the report actually highlights some key trends that are shaping the future.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, for one thing, there's a huge increase in investment in microbiome-based therapeutics.
So more money is flowing into research and development.
Exactly. And that's going to lead to new and innovative treatments for a whole range of conditions.
That's great.
And another trend is the continued advancement in personalized medicine and diagnostics.
So it's going to get even more tailored to the individual.
Yeah, exactly. The future is all about analyzing a person's unique microbiome and designing treatments that are specifically for them.
That's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Now, finally, let's talk about the competitive landscape.
Okay.
Like, who are the main players in this market and what's the competition like?
So the report describes the market as highly competitive.
Okay, so it's a bit of a race to the top.
Yeah, kind of. And the key players are focusing on things like personalized probiotics,
Okay.
advanced microbiome diagnostic tools, and next-generation therapies.
So they're all trying to outdo each other with the latest and greatest.
Yeah, pretty much they're using all sorts of strategies to get ahead, like forming partnerships, acquiring promising startups, and investing heavily in R&D.
So it's a really dynamic environment.
Oh, yeah. It's constantly changing and evolving.
Are there any specific companies that are worth mentioning?
Well, the report highlights Mott Pharma.
Okay.
They've had some really encouraging clinical trial results for a treatment for acute graft versus host disease.
Oh, wow, that's a serious condition.
Yeah, it is. And their treatment showed an 81% survival rate, which is incredible.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah. And they also joined the Microbiome Therapeutics Innovation Group, so they're definitely a company to watch.
It sounds like they're really making waves in the field.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the front runners.
So to wrap things up, it sounds like the global human microbiome market is on the verge of something really big.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're talking about explosive growth from just over $1 billion in 2025 to more than $10 billion by 2033.
It's huge, and it's only going to get bigger.
And while North America is currently leading the charge, APAC is expected to see the fastest growth.
Definitely, they're going to be a major player in the years to come.
And this whole expansion is being driven by a growing understanding of the microbiome's role in health,
Yeah.
advancements in technologies like sequencing, and a growing demand for personalized medicine.
It's an exciting time to be following this field.
It really is. And even though there are still some scientific and regulatory challenges to overcome,
Right.
the future of this market looks incredibly bright.
I couldn't agree more.
So I guess the main takeaway here is that our understanding of the microbiome is changing the way we think about health and disease.
Absolutely. It's a paradigm shift, and it's only just the beginning.
And all this market growth and investment is just a reflection of that.
Exactly. The more we learn about the microbiome, the more possibilities open up.
And that's what makes this field so fascinating.
It really is. There's so much potential for new discoveries and innovations.
And it makes you wonder, like, what kind of amazing health and wellness innovations will we see in the coming years?
It's hard to even imagine.
Right? Like, what if we could actually prevent diseases by manipulating our microbiome?
Yeah. Or what if we could develop personalized probiotics that could target specific health issues?
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
They really are, and it makes you think about how all this new knowledge and the increasing availability of microbiome-based products could impact your own health.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
It really is. The future of health and wellness might be right under our noses, or rather, inside our guts.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty wild.
It is.
Well, that was a lot to digest.
Yeah, there was a lot of information.
Yeah, it was a great deep dive, though.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Me too.
It's always fascinating to see how much progress is being made in this field.
Yeah, it makes you feel optimistic about the future of healthcare.
It really does.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
It was great having you on the show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
we'll catch you on the next one.